Hello, IoTeX community. How's everyone doing? It's been a while since we've done a live stream, and we got a really special one for you today. This is our Webstream deep dive and co-founders panel. I got Aaron Bossi with me, our lead product manager at IoTeX, and my name is Larry Pang, the head of business development here at IoTeX. So today's session is all about providing a deeper dive into Webstream, which is one of the largest product releases we've had as of late at IoTeX. And we're going to have our co-founders join to add a little bit more context about why Webstream is important. But before we get there, we really just want to review the release that we just had a couple weeks ago. I know right now is kind of a turbulent time in crypto with the FTX contagion and some other sour news, but it just shows the need for transparency and trust is more important than ever, not only in the financial space, but also as we think about the Dapps of the future. So we had a really awesome Webstream launch a couple weeks ago where we introduced for the first time this big product of ours called Webstream. It's the core infrastructure to our Machine-Phi vision, and it's the first decentralized infrastructure that brings smart devices to smart contracts for the very first time. We've had a lot of interesting news coverage of Webstream as well. It's really awesome to see Webstream make its way to VentureBeat, which is one of the largest tech-focused publications. Just this morning, we saw Webstream being covered in Cointelegraph, which of course is a staple of the Web3 news space. And also a couple weeks ago in the San Francisco Blockchain Week, we unveiled Webstream to a number of thesis-driven Machine-Phi builders and investors during our Real World Meets Web3 event with Chainlink, Samsung Next, Lattice, and many more. And Webstream is available for everyone to browse, and we really would encourage everyone after this presentation to go check out all the public documentation at webstream.com. That's W3bstream.com. But before we dive into all of that, let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always good to see the global IoTeX community here. We see Richard and Afani, saying hello to the IoTeX fam. Blockboy sharing that IoTeX is still building, of course, as always. We see Dorian here from, I think, Arizona, who is a Pebble and UCAM owner and tinkerer. Always good to see you, Dorian. And we got Blockboy tuning in for Toronto. So really great to see, the entire IoTeX community showing out on this beautiful Tuesday morning as we explore Webstream. Okay, we got some more specifics here. Australia, Highlands, we got Austria in the house, we got Germany, and we got Uruguay, and also the UK. Keep on dropping these. We love to see all the participation from everywhere globally. So, we're live streaming to YouTube, we're live streaming to Twitter. So it's awesome to see all the folks tuning in here, and we're just going to get started in just a minute. But Aaron, you're kind of a new face to some of the folks here at IoTeX. Did you want to maybe start with a little introduction of yourself?
For sure. So yeah, like Larry said, I'm the lead product manager at IoTeX. I was brought on board about 6 months ago, and it's been a journey. So like most of the time here has just been spent working on Webstream, and we're so happy to get it out there because it's been a long road, and yeah, we're really excited.
100%. Well, we're going to get started with our presentation here today, guys. The agenda is going to go like this. Aaron's going to start with a Webstream deep dive, an overview of the key components of Webstream and how to get started as a developer or a user. Then I'm going to walk through some of the publicly available docs for you guys, walking through our white paper, our GitHub repos, our developer docs, and then I'm going to jump into sharing a little bit about the different use cases that Webstream is going to enable and some of the partners that are already building on Webstream. And finally, we're going to wrap it with a panel with the IoTeX co-founders, just to share their perspective about why Webstream matters, kind of the journey that it took to get here, and sharing a little bit about what's coming next for Webstream. So with that, we're going to get started with our presentation for today. So Aaron, please take it away.
All right. Thanks, guys. So you see it here, smart devices to smart contracts. So Webstream is an off-chain compute infrastructure that converts real-world data from devices into verifiable DApp-ready proofs. Again, smart devices to smart contracts. That's the key here. So across the bottom here, we say it manages, programs, is confidential, and it generates cryptographic ready proofs. So in this diagram here, you see that takes several devices. It's really device agnostic, and we're able to take the data from those devices and into WebStream, where we do our generation of the proofs that are going to be used in the machine-to-people economy. So whether that's through several chains, networks, or Dapps. So what makes WebStream special? So WebStream is developer-friendly, it's trustworthy, it's composable, and provides data ownership to the user. So in terms of how it's developer-friendly, it provides quick go-to-market times, reduced dev costs, and complexity. It's trustworthy because it's open source, and you can check out those repos on GitHub. It's also composable in that it integrates with DeFi, NFT, game, social dApps seamlessly. And then finally, it provides that end-to-end data ownership through several privacy protocols, including zero-knowledge proofs in the future. So here's a little look at WebStream in action. First, on the left side, we have the developer side of things. And then on the right side, we have the user side of things. So in the developer side of things, first thing they do is they install a device SDK onto a device. Then they write their business logic using any programming language into a WASM applet, which they will then upload into WebStream. The developer will then write and deploy a smart contract across any one of these chains. And that's really the beauty of WebStream, is it's really chain agnostic, device agnostic. And this is so powerful. And the feedback that we got around this has really been tremendous. And then on the user side of things, like I said, you're taking the data from those devices and then generating the proof out of that on any one of those chains. And then you're able to receive incentives, again, from any one of those chains from that generated proof. So you can think of drive and earn, walk to earn, sleep to earn. It generates an unlimited amount of X and earn possibilities because of the verifiable data that you're getting from these devices. So here's a little look into the WebStream architecture. So first thing, the service endpoint here. So we're able to, using HTTP, MQTT, RPC, we're able to communicate with smart devices, blockchains, and node operators. The virtual file system here is used to actually store the business logic, including the WebAssembly modules. The execution engine then takes the data received from the smart devices and executes the predefined business logic. So we have several methods of providing consensus that will allow for this WebStream network of nodes. This includes proof of authority, and then the Byzantine fault tolerance, and several others. Then looking at the database is used to store raw and encrypted data received from those smart devices. And then the SSI wallet, the self-sovereign identity wallet, implements those decentralized identifiers and verifiable credentials related features for managing the identity of that WebStream node. So again, this is the WebStream architecture, which allows for several different kind of methods of bringing the data from devices over to the WebStream and the blockchain. So again, like I said, that architecture provides this opportunity for us to be able to use something called Proxy Mode, which really allows for the transference of data to the blockchain for many Web2 companies out there. So an example of this, Web2-based backend that we're referring to here is like a cloud that you'll see in many different Web2 companies out there right now. So by using this client application on a phone, like almost like a digital twin, you're able to reflect the data that's coming from those smart devices onto that client application and then transfer that to the WebStream node. So like I said, this allows us to really work with many big players out there in the world today. Like most companies are Web 2, right? Whereas the direct mode in the next slide here, we're actually able to provide provide the power for Web3 applications directly from smart devices using this direct mode method. Essentially, we're able to skip the cloud part of things. And this is really key to be able to provide that security, verifiability of that data. But we don't expect anyone to jump straight here in terms of those Web 2 companies that are out there, because it really requires the manufacturing of a secure element. And that's right at the beginning of the process. Whereas maybe down the line, we can see some of these Web 2 companies getting there. But right now, we'll see a lot of companies use the proxy mode. But an example of what we're doing with the direct mode would be the Pebble tracker. So, we've had the Pebble tracker out there for a while. This is actually the first device that's going to be acting on this direct mode, going straight from devices to the WebStream node and then the blockchain. And finally, here's another slide about how you do the proxy mode. So just a little bit more in depth here. So you know how with the iPhone, for example, you're able to tie your IMEI number from your iPhone or your machine identifier to your Apple ID. So this is kind of the Web 2 world that you see right here on the left. Whereas on the right, you're able to take those Web 2 devices and transfer them almost to Web 3 devices through what the key here, which is the digital twin. So by using this digital twin, we're able to create a decentralized identifier for that smart device. And then the user is able to receive rewards based off of that decentralized identifier, that blockchain wallet that's tied into that, and so forth down the line. So this is kind of the key to be able to unlock the ability to be able to work with a lot of those Web 2 companies out there.
Yeah, really designed to be very flexible and extensive, right? So, we walked through a lot of the pieces of WebStream that Aaron just walked through. But just to summarize, WebStream is the first of its kind infrastructure that brings smart devices to smart contracts for the very first time. It sits in between the blockchain and the real world and acts as an off-chain computing infrastructure that gathers data from all types of devices, uses that data to generate cryptographic proofs that a DApp can understand. And basically these proofs instruct a smart contract to issue tokens or NFTs or soulbound tokens to users that have proven they've done something in the real world. So as Aaron mentioned, on this slide here, WebStream is designed to be very, very developer friendly. And one of the main pillars of that is our WebStream Studio. It's a place for developers to build and create their own WASM applets that generate those proofs and hook up all different types of devices. So Aaron, maybe you could share a little bit more about WebStream Studio.
Yeah, so you're able to really build the WASM applets that we referred to earlier. And it's really the mechanism to be able to interact with those WebStream nodes in a really easy user interface. I think making things easy for the developer and be able to use several languages. I think this is the key to really unlocking things and making things, pushing things and adopting and the adoptability of Web3. This is where the key. Really, it's all about making things easy for the developer, making things easy for the user. And that's where I really see ththings going. So that's why we want to spend a lot of time on this WebStream Studio and create a really nice interface for them to interact with those nodes.
Absolutely. So we invite everyone that's a developer to jump in, start your own node, and start coding your own WASM applets. It's really a brand new design space that we're enabling for builders that allows you to build anything, right? I'm going to walk through some of the releases that we had related to WebStream. So as I mentioned, webstream.com has all the information you need on WebStream, and has a lot of great diagrams that show exactly what's going on behind the scenes in WebStream. So you see the devices submitting data to WebStream. WebStream supports different types of file formats and communication patterns like MQTT, HTTP, RPC. And basically, developers will code applets within a WebStream node that gather that data and generate a proof that a blockchain can understand. It's really important that we do this on the layer 2 and kind of off-chain computing side, because as everyone knows, IoT data is so heavyweight. Writing that data directly to the blockchain is not cost efficient, and it certainly is not technologically efficient. So having the ability to flexibly create proofs in any programming language, you can code these applets in JavaScript, in Python, in Go, and Rust, and compile that down into WASM in order to instruct a smart contract to deliver any incentives on any chain to any user. So really, really flexible for everyone. For those that want to get started with WebStream, as Aaron mentioned, WebStream Studio is the place to start. You can find that on our docs website. It's docs.webstream.com. And this is just a web tool, like a command line interface that allows anyone to get started with WebStream, provision their first node. So really encourage any developers that are watching today to check this out. For those that want to just understand more about what WebStream is all about, this white paper, the version 1 white paper, there will be more in the future, has 30 plus pages of information about the different types of trust models that WebStream supports, different types of proxy mode and direct mode that WebStream supports, even how to cater to different types of IoT devices. So this is a gold mine of information. We encourage everyone to take that end-to-end read. We also have our roadmap here that we'll kind of talk through during more of our co-founders panel, but it's important to know that WebStream version 1, this kind of seed stage, is just the start. We've launched a WASM-powered virtual machine to cater to IoT data streams. We've started to work on decentralized identity for devices and how do you bind those identities from devices to users. We have support for IoTeX and the Ethereum blockchains with more EVM support coming very soon. And we built WebStream Studio and mobile SDKs that make it really easy for any developer to get started. And as I'll show you later, we've already have a lot of projects building on WebStream for the past year in different types of private beta tests. But there's much more to come. We're going to be releasing more versions of WebStream. Q2 2023 is the next major release of WebStream. We call it Sprout, right? As you can see, it's kind of flower themed. So Sprout is going to have a multi-tenant WASM virtual machine with distributed resource scheduling to make it more parallel processing friendly. There's going to be integration with decentralized storage protocols, so you can not only generate proofs from the data you collect from smart devices, but you can also start to store that on IPFS, Arweave, et cetera. We're going to start to introduce zero-knowledge proofs for different DApps, so you can prove your activities in the real world without exposing the raw data to protect your privacy. And we're also going to have more improvements to our SDKs in our WebStream Studio. At the end of next year, in our Blossom stage of the roadmap, we're going to be supporting different types of custom device onboarding via plugins. Right now, it's very flexible to cater to the proxy mode or the direct mode that Aaron had mentioned, but making that even easier for developers. Data availability committees with sharding supported. And this is really to make all the data that's gathered from these devices not only available to a single DApp, but also to multiple DApps in the entire MachineFi ecosystem. And this is really where the decentralization of the protocol is going to start. It's going to allow node operators to run their own WebStream nodes. Registering a device to IoTeX requires the IoTeX token, and also provisioning a node when we get to this stage of the roadmap will also utilize the IoTeX token. So that's kind of how the tokenomics of the IoTeX network are going to be linked to the WebStream framework. And we're also going to be supporting other non-EVM mainstream layer ones, such as Tendermint and the Cosmos family, hopefully Solana and the Polkadot family, et cetera. And finally, when we get to Q2 of 2024, this is really where the zero-knowledge tools for developers really come into play. A privacy-preserving architecture with a nearly trustless setup, and this is kind of the last stage of decentralization for the WebStream project. But the work never stops, right? Just like we always improve on the IoTeX protocol, WebStream is going to evolve, and this is a call to action to everyone that's watching today to not only read the white paper and get in tune with our developer docs, but also to contribute. This kind of flow that we've shown is not just about technology. As we get to this side of the right-hand side, there's a lot of data science and tokenomics design that's going to enable this brand new design space. We really encourage everyone to jump in. For those that are developers, really encourage everyone to also check out our open source GitHub repos for WebStream. As I mentioned, there's a front end interface called WebStream Studio that allows you to jump in. But for those that want to check out the code, even contribute to the code, GitHub is a place to be. So with that, we kind of did an overview of the WebStream framework. We talked about all the resources that are at hand for you guys to explore. And I'm going to jump into the next part of our presentation, which is all about use cases and why WebStream is important. Let me find that first. Awesome. So thank you so much, Aaron, for the walkthrough. I'm going to give you guys a different flavor of WebStream now, just talking about different use cases that WebStream is going to enable. So before we start, why is WebStream important? As we all know, different sectors in the crypto space, in the Web3 space, have really evolved lately, from DeFi to GameFi to DAOs. And we really believe that the next big thing for Web3 is connection of the real world economy to the Web3 space. And this is not just about real world securities and real world financial assets, but this is connecting the real world activities that everyday people and businesses do to the Web3 space, so we can drive incentivization of these real world activities to improve people's lives and improve society's lives, right? As you can see, the real world economy is leaps and bounds greater than a lot of the other industries that Web3 has targeted historically. So a huge opportunity space, multi-trillion-dollar industry that we're targeting, and IoTeX and MachineFi and WebStream are going to be the foundation to bring this real world economy into the Web3 space. Yeah, so WebStream, it really enables a universe of use cases that I'm going to just walk you through very high level. But over the time, I think the best way to understand the use cases that WebStream and IoTeX are enabling is to see the projects that are building on WebStream and how they've kind of crafted their projects around the ability to grab trusted data from trusted devices to feed their trusted applications. Overall, WebStream enables 4 large categories of use cases. One is proof of anything, which I'll explain is kind of a prerequisite to some of the other use cases that we're going to have here. We have this X and earn category. You notice we didn't call this X to earn, but X and earn. So we're really pushing the performance of everyday activities as you would do them normally, not just to earn rewards, but to better your lives and better society. We also have decentralized data pools and community-owned networks, which are more bringing together the utilities and the data from multiple devices to create some type of public data set or public utility. So I'm going to walk through each of these examples one by one here. Proof of anything. To me, this is the foundation of MachineFi. It's the concept of using trusted devices to prove real-world activities of everyday people and businesses in order to earn token incentives. So this is really the foundation for why WebStream is so important. As Aaron explained earlier, we have on the left side here, this is the real world. And on the right-hand side here, this is the Web3 world. So WebStream really sits right in between the real world and the Web3 world and serves as almost a translation layer or a proof of what happened in the real world to instruct the Web3 world to deliver incentives to different users. So basically, these devices that are generating all types of data, there's going to be 100 billion devices in the world by 2030 that are watching, listening, sensing, and all this data is extremely valuable, especially in the context of using it as a data source for Web3. So all of this data can be sent to WebStream, and WebStream has a lot of compute, storage, and memory resources that allow people to persist data and to generate proofs based on this data. So whether it's you proving that you've walked 5 miles or burned 10,000 calories, or you proving that your car has not driven over the speed limit, or you proving that your drone has made a successful delivery to another user that ordered something. All of these different types of proofs off of real world data are going to be used to fuel different types of tokenomics models on the Web3 side of things. And we're not just talking about cryptocurrencies, using your GPS location to earn an NFT to prove that you are at a specific place at a specific time. Using your healthcare data to earn a soulbound token that says you achieved a certain type of health goal. There's really a flexible framework, and most importantly, this is designed to be blockchain agnostic, meaning these proofs can be sent in the future to any blockchain to settle business logic, including IoTeX, of course. And it's worth noting again that the link to the IoTeX token is through the provisioning of new WebStream nodes and the registration of devices. But these proofs are very flexible, can be sent to any blockchain in the future, really opening up the MachineFi space, not only to the IoTeX blockchain, but to the entire Web3 space. So again, proof of anything is really a abstract, a kind of foundational concept that's going to power the different categories of use cases I'm going to explain right now. So this is one that you've probably seen a lot of, right? Walk to earn, sleep to earn, X to earn, right? It's really taken the Web3 space by storm. And this is definitely a huge category, probably the first category of use cases that we're going to see. This X and earn category is all about using the data from your device to prove something that you've done in the real world in order to earn some type of token incentive in the form of a DApp, right? So StepIn is a great example of this. All these different types of health blocks and all these different types of healthcare focused DApps are a great example of X and earn. Generally, these use cases use a single device that's owned by a single user to prove an everyday activity, whether it's in the automotive space or the healthcare space. There's a lot of insurance type of use cases that are linked to this, where if you prove that you're being healthier or if you prove that you're being a better driver, you can earn incentives on a daily basis for doing so. And these daily incentives are actually a really important concept to change everyday behavior. If you have an incentive to be a better person, no matter if that means you're driving better or you're treating yourself better on a fitness level, these kind of micro incentives can really change how people interact in their everyday lives. And that's why we call it X and earn. And also in the background, while you perform these daily activities, say you're doing your 10,000 steps and you're burning 200 calories a day, you're also creating a time series database in the background of all your daily activities. And that's where it starts to get really interesting for this concept of decentralized data pools, right? For a data product to have value, it needs a couple things. It needs duration, meaning it has to be a longer time series where you can draw kind of relational insights between your day-to-day activities. And it also has to have statistical significance, meaning it has to put together enough data where machine learning or analytics companies are interested in tapping into that data source. So the concept of having a decentralized data pool will stem from a lot of these X and earn activities, but it can also be purposely created depending on what devices we're talking about. So the concept of a decentralized data pool is combining the data from multiple devices that are owned by multiple users in order to create some type of data product, right? In this example here, we show an air quality and a weather sensor to say, if everyone around the United States or around the world purchased and installed a weather station, and we can aggregate all that data into a weather data index, that's going to have a lot of value for, commodities traders, for AccuWeather.com, for urban planners. And it works very similarly to a decentralized exchange in the sense that instead of us all crowdsourcing tokens to form a liquidity pool, we're crowdsourcing our data in order to create a data pool. And similarly to a DEX, those that contribute their liquidity will earn a liquidity pool token that denominates their share of the future profits. And this is also an example where the more data that you contribute to the data product and the more people purchase that data product, the more profits you are going to receive as a core contributor to that data pool. So this is probably also another concept we're going to see a lot of, starting with the healthcare space, the automotive space, the weather space, all of these industries that already have existing demand for more data, whether it's to fill gaps in existing data sets or to create brand new bottoms up data sets that are community owned and community governed. And in a similar example, we have the concept of a community owned machine network. It's similar to a data pool. It's similar to a decentralized data pool, but rather than contributing data, different devices can contribute services or resources in what's called a community owned machine network. So this is also the concept of combining multiple devices from multiple users, but in an effort to create a public utility or a public service that others can use. Two of my favorite examples of these community-owned machine networks are autonomous vehicles and autonomous drones in the future. This may not look like a set of autonomous drones, but imagine in the future that you own a drone that you can buy a kit to host different LEDs and run some type of software package, and someone wants to rent your drone to create a light show in the sky. Then this is more of like a machine as a service kind of concept. So for anyone that contributes their device that's delivering some type of autonomous service as part of a community-owned machine network, they can earn profits for lending their machines to others. Similarly, on the autonomous vehicle side of things, this is starting to get a little futuristic, but imagine a future robo-taxi network that's composed not of vehicles that Tesla or some large auto manufacturer owns, but this is a group of trusted and autonomous vehicles that are owned by everyday people that form a robo-taxi network. And these will all be coordinated and orchestrated by the blockchain, and basically using tamper-proof hardware that gets instructions from tamper-proof software in the form of smart contracts in order to deliver some type of predictable service that anyone can tap into permissionlessly, right? So just circling back a little bit, you see how these proofs of anything, proving what devices do in the real world, is really a foundation for incentivizing everyday people to do daily tasks that can make their lives better. It can prove which devices have contributed data to which data pools and what types of future revenues they should receive after that data product has demand, and also prove what devices delivered what services to what people, right? So all of these are different categories of use cases that are not just science fiction anymore. We, in fact, have a lot of pioneering partners that we've been working with for the past year or so on private beta tests of WebStream, from the healthcare space to the automotive space to the environmental space, smart homes, smart cities, telecom, green energy, sustainability, geolocation, and also a lot of hardware partners. It's important to know that just like blockchain, the Internet of Things is a horizontal technology that covers many, many different types of verticals, right? So, you'll see a lot more of these partner announcements and introducing the concepts that they're building on top of WebStream soon. In fact, December is the WebStream use case month that we have planned. So we're going to be unveiling a lot of what these companies are working on with WebStream, and also introducing some of the large Web2 players that we've really been incubating and red pilling into the Web3 space. And this isn't just for projects, right? We really want to hear your ideas about what WebStream can enable in this new decentralized machine economy. So we're planning for a big ideathon coming soon, where we'll give you, the community, a chance to share your ideas about what awesome use cases WebStream can enable and how this is really going to transform the Web3 space. We really want to hear, with this brand new design space, what would you build, right? So get ready for that. So that's the use case overview. Hope everyone enjoyed it. And, we're going to jump over to the next section here, which is our co-founders panel. And so with that, I'm going to invite our co-founders into the room. We have Kevin, and we have Jing, and we have Xin today with us. Thank you guys so much for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Hello.
Yeah, absolutely. For those that don't know you guys yet, there may be some newcomers to the IoTeX ecosystem. Please introduce yourselves, maybe starting with Kevin.
Hello, I'm Kevin, CTO and co-founder of IoTeX. I mainly work on technologies and products. Very good to see you here.
Awesome, thank you. Jing, why don't you go next?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jing, co-founder of IoTeX and MachineFi Lab. So my current role is more focusing on acceleration of the MachineFi project and to drive the adoption of the users and also developer.
Awesome, thank you, Jing. And finally, we have Xin with us today. How are you, Xin?
Hello, everyone. Xin Fan, head of cryptography at IoTeX, mainly leading the research and some development activities here. Also focusing on the industry applications, large corporation partnerships, as well as international standards.
Awesome. Thank you, Xin. Awesome, guys. Well, we're going to get right started into some questions. The goal of this co-founders panel was to add a lot of context about what we just shared, not only the use cases and the technology, but what's coming in the future and why WebStream really matters. So with that, Jing, I'm going to start with you. We just walked over a new set of WebStream use cases, and WebStream is going to enable brand new use cases for the Web3 industry by bringing smart devices to smart contracts. At a high level, why is this important? Maybe share some of the insights that you have on this topic.
Sure. I have to kind of emphasize, the release of WebStream is so far the biggest release after, we launched the IoTeX mainnet. So that's just like how important it is, right? So I think last year we started to talk about the machine-fi category. And then just like when, with this kind of release of the WebStream, we really kind of bring this vision to the reality face by face. And when we are talking about just like why this is important, right? So I think Larry just gave us, a really amazing kind of overview of the market and about the use cases, right? I just want to kind of just like, enhance a little bit about, the market, for example, right? So when we look at the current market, the entire Web3 cryptocurrency market cap today, as of today, is around kind of 800 million, right? And then when you look at, this year, the global economy, the real world, economy, actually the value is around kind of 100 trillion. When we take a look at, kind of forecast for, for 2030, and all those numbers will be at least triple, right? And so that you will see there's a huge kind of difference. You will see it's kind of 100 times, even kind of 200 times the difference between the Web3 economy and, the real world. And the big question is, why, there's such a huge kind of, real world economy cannot be unlocked. I think here is the missing link, right? So actually just like the missing link is, a lot of the real world value still cannot be, financialized on the Web3 infrastructure. And when you look at what's the missing link here, actually the gateway. And what's a gateway? It's actually from the devices and the machines. So that just like, when we are talking about the WebStream, the biggest value WebStream brings to the place is about how to directly connect smart devices to the smart contract. So that part is the biggest missing link, to unlock this kind of 100 times bigger real world economy. So that's the first thing, right? The second part is about when you look at, the adoption. So right now, I think this year we can proudly say, hey, actually the entire, cryptocurrency user side, right? So there are already over kind of 100 million users really start to use MetaMask and all the, cryptocurrency wallet. But when you look at the device market, right? So in this world currently, over 14 billion, smart devices in the world, and over 7 billion users in the world actually own at least one smart devices. And you can see kind of over 50% of the entire population, they are owning at least one device, smart device, including the smartphone, right? So that's a huge number when you imagine if we can kind of bring these 7 billion users into the Web3 through their everyday, usable devices, including smartphone or, wearables or, any type of the devices. That's a huge market. We can drive the value into the Web3, right? And then just like the third part of why it's important is about, the openness of the Web3 infrastructure. This can provide an open, space for the innovators. So right now, the reason why a lot of real world value haven't really been, kind of unlocked is because, the current infrastructure mainly is closed loop, right? So actually, this like it kind of prevent the innovators from creating a lot of kind of innovative applications to unlock the value. But with WebStream and IoTeX network, right? So eventually, we kind of just open up this innovation playground to enable the possibility of innovations which doesn't exist right now, in the Web3 space, and also doesn't exist in the Web2 space, right? So you can imagine if there's thousands, 10,000s of the developer, they can create all type of new type of the, application, leverage on a completely open source, tools, off-chain computing infrastructure, and on-chain, layer 1 blockchains. And you can imagine just like what type of the service can be unlocked, what type of the application can be unlocked to the real world, user. I think just like these three kind of reasons already kind of just like making the WebStream release and also the machine-fi category really super important for the next wave of the Web3.
Yeah, amazingly well said. I think we've always had a thesis about devices are going to be largest users of blockchains in the future because they're going to outnumber people 10 to 1 by 2030. 100 billion devices out there. But to your point about flexibility, all these devices are going to be so heterogeneous, and that's the way we design WebStream, is to cater to all different types of devices and all different types of blockchains, so we can be this foundational layer, right? So awesome perspectives, Jing. Xin, I kind of went through a little bit of the WebStream roadmap, but as the architect of WebStream and really the one that's driving the large portion of the WebStream roadmap, we're in the first stage of WebStream, seed, right? And then we have Sprout and Blossom and Flourish coming up. What will be the next phases, and what will they enable for builders?
Okay, so WebStream is a layer 2 type of projects. Of course, we'll go through a number of iterations to become fully mature to empower large applications. We are currently in the seed phase. The basic idea is to enable our early adopter to try this entire infrastructure to test their business idea in the Web3 space. We already have a number of early adopters to work with us closely to basically testing everything works well from end to end. Right? So that's a mainly goal for the seed phase. Starting from the next phase, Sprout, we will keep adding the more functionalities depending on the feedback we receive from the many ecosystem partners as well as other customers. Right. So, for example, the Sprout will add more functionality to enable one WebStream node to run to support multiple Dapps through the virtual machine. Right. So also we will provide flexible options for the developer to use different kinds of storage options like centralized storage, decentralized storage, etc. Also, we will add the zero knowledge proof to basically can enable WebStream node to prove to the blockchain what has happening when they collect the signed data from the device. Also, from developer perspective, we will add the support for the VS Code. Then you can directly use WebStream Studio within the VS Code. Meanwhile, we continue working on the embedded SDK. So this one will enable like the device manufacturer to by integrating this SDK, device manufacturer can directly interact between their device to the WebStream. So in this way, you can directly go to the WebStream fashion when you develop your decentralized application. So all of those pieces, when they combine together, will bring more advanced experience for developers. For the Blossom stage, actually, we will support the more customized device onboarding process. Since we aim to cover a wide range of IoT devices, they vary a lot when users try to onboarding the device, depending on the capability of the device and the specific onboarding process. So we try to provide the tools and plugins to facilitate the device manufacturer to onboard their device into the to IoTeX blockchain. Also, we were working on the data availability community to basically provide the data availability when the different device send the data to the WebStream. So we know the device will send a huge amount of time series data that you cannot put all of data on the blockchain. Right? So that's why we need more off-chain type of solution to enable this. Also, most important goal for the Blossom stage, we will enable the community member to run the WebStream node. So the layer 2 deemed to be decentralized and eventually need to be owned by the community. That's why that will become one of the major goal for the Blossom stage. So we will provide the tool onboarding process and eventually enable the community members. You can provision a WebStream node to support the different type of decentralized application in our ecosystem. Also, we will provide WebStream Explorer, so which will enable everyone to realize and analyzing the like performance and to know what's going on with Webstream node. Okay. Last stage will be the flourish. So that will more target for flow-fledged product to basically empower all kinds of applications we received from the different community members, from the different customers and the large corporations. So in this stage, we target to a more full-fledged product, which will enable more advanced or large-scale applications. Privacy definitely one of the major goal in this phase. We will provide more advanced privacy-preserving architecture to unlock all kinds of those large-scale applications. Also have more specific policy to define to define the expiry date for the state, for the data, and how to handle the data accessibility community to provide through the on-chain attestation. Also, we will provide more advanced or complete set of zero-knowledge proof tools, which enable the developer to basically prove different type of computation in a verifiable manner. Yeah, that's the currently roadmap for the Web3. During our development process or iteration process, we will keeping receiving feedbacks from the community members and other projects to basically integrate all the comments and features requested from the community to make this more complete and powerful product.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things on that roadmap, from the introduction of privacy preserving technologies to the decentralization to parallel processing and sharding. But all of that is designed to make WebStream more flexible, more performant. But there's so many ways that people can contribute. So anyone that sees a focus area that they've been researching or building, please do get in touch with us. We would love to see how your products can fit into the WebStream framework, and not only decentralizing the node operation, but starting to bring in more contributors to make WebStream a community-owned project, open source community-owned project. We would love nothing more than that. So thank you so much, Jing. Kevin, we were talking about developers just now, and we kind of briefly went over some of the things around WebStream Studio and the different types of developer tools. WebStream is a framework that enables builders of all skill levels to get in touch with real-world devices and real-world data. So can you explain from your words why WebStream is a game changer for developers, and how do developers really get started with WebStream?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So why WebStream is a game changer? I would say still decentralization and transparency. This is the first time we have such an infra that easily connects the real devices to the blockchain in a decentralized way. If there is a token or customized logic on the chain, WebStream powers it based on the real-world activities, basically captured from the devices and pass through to the chain. I think it much lowers the barrier for all the device developers to get started. And it powers decentralized devices networks and provides the transparency all way long. Yeah, to the second question, how developers can get started. We have one line command to get to quick start. Yeah, maybe you can show on the web page. Yeah, and once you execute the command locally, you actually have the latest code running, including everything here. And that also includes WebStream Studio. WebStream Studio is kind of integrated development tool for easier development. You can do a lot of things here, like creating a project, deploy the Watson script, and connect with different blockchains, and listen on the events sending through the network. Yeah. We also provide a lot of tutorials and examples on the developer portal to get you started as well. And we keep adding different examples that cover real use cases, and just feel free to fork and get started, and also send us feedback if you actually need more examples. That be any feedback is welcome.
Yeah, just so many resources to get started with, no matter what skill level you are, if you're ready to dive in and build your own applets and dApps, I think jumping into our open source GitHub repos for WebStream is a great place to start. If you guys need some more context or education, starting with our developer documentation at docs.webstream.com is an amazing place to start. And as Kevin said, if you're trying to just spin up a node and play with, provisioning a node, there's a one-line command here that you can use to get started. So also a lot of great tutorials that Simone and Giuseppe and our developer relations team have been building around how to work with an Arduino Nano 33 board to work with MachineFi dApps, or running a full node on a Raspberry Pi, or even controlling smart locks and different things. We have so many different tutorials. Whether you just want to test around and hack a weekend project, or really build this into your future vision for your dApps. There's so many things to browse. So developers.iotex.io, webstream.com, and docs.webstream.com. And of course, our GitHub. You can find all of those resources on the WebStream website up here. So thank you for that overview, Kevin. Yeah, just jumping into another set of questions. Jing, I think a lot of folks, even in the chat, were talking about the sad mood and the sour mood of the crypto space due to a lot of these centralized institutions letting us down, like FTX and Celsius and kind of Three Arrows and all that. They've really catalyzed the need for transparency and the call for transparency in the Web3 finance space. But when we're talking about bringing trust from the real world to Web3, why is transparency in the real world also needed? And how does WebStream really help with that?
Sure. I think the past 2 weeks is really very unfortunate events happened. I think a lot of our community members, retail investors, and also institutional investors actually got hit really badly, right? When we look at kind of this situation, actually the first things we need to analyze what triggered the happening of all those kind of tragic events, right? So it's not some of them they feel okay, so they start to question or doubt if cryptocurrency or the Web3 doesn't work. But actually, just like when you really kind of dig into the root cause, you will find actually it proves the problem is actually from the centralization, from the kind of the the intransparency of the centralized entity, which happen to be in the cryptocurrency industry, including the FTX is centralized exchange, right? Alameda Research is a kind of centralized hedge fund, right? And then 3AC is also kind of a centralized entity. So it's kind of just like a layman moment in the Web3 space. And then when you look at the other space like the DeFi, like all the other kind of smart contract based protocols, they are fine, right? They stay strong. Actually, just like in contrast, they provide a big kind of transparency to all the users through the on-chain data, right? And also they kind of settle all those transactions through the smart contract, right? So actually, just like this proof, in the Web3 financial space, go for kind of the open source, go for kind of decentralization is the solution. Comparing to purely kind of centralization based on the reputation of the institution, based on kind of the trust for the reputable brands, right? And then just like the same kind of philosophy come to the bigger Web3 space. When we are talking about we want to unlock 100 trillions of the real world economy, that this transparency is even just like more important, right? I think just like Lauren just mentioned, say, hey, actually WebStream, kind of just like, become a kind of lighthouse for, in this kind of dark sea. It's not really kind of exaggeration, right? So we are here to kind of just like building this infrastructure to provide a better transparency and to kind of just like bring the industry into a more transparent and more secure future, right? The reason why it's important, actually the same problem in the Web2 space. When you look at the real world economy in the Web2 space, right? The biggest problem is still the trust is built in either from the regulation or from the trust to those biggest entity, right? So we trust their reputation, we trust their credibility, we trust the regulation can protect the consumer, maybe rights, right? But in the reality, there always be kind of the bad actors, right? The biggest problem in the Web2 is still just like when there is a kind of data, and then actually just like within kind of the closed loop, closed source ecosystem, like big companies, actually just like there are very little minimum transparency to the users, right? So users, they don't understand how their devices, how their kind of just like data be used, right? How to monetize, and they are also not involved into the entire kind of economy, right? And then when we can unlock those big real world economy on chain and Webstream, we are not only provide kind of the technical off-chain computing, Oracle or device SDK, those technical kind of tools. We also provide the transparency to all the kind of the device users and the project, developers, right? So we provide everything kind of, the on-chain data, right? So make it visible, easily for, users to inquiry, easily for users to see how this tokenomics, designed, how the smart contract triggers, right? How those kind of, incentive model worked, right? Everything cannot be hide, basically, right? But of course, based on the privacy preserving, matters, but still there are a lot of information will be transparent to, the industry. The good part is, it will prevent from bigger problem, just like, this FTX moment, right? So if with those kind of transparency, those problem, if they happened, it will be noticed, in a very early stage. So that just like, will not really kind of like become a huge problem because of a huge kind of leverage already added into, so that just like there's one single kind of event trigger the entire collapse of the market, right? So so basically, that's how just like we believe in the decentralization and the open source community. And also we believe in the open source always from the beginning, right? That's why just like all the technology we built, no matter if this is IoTeX blockchain or it's a Webstream off-chain, infrastructure, they are all open source. And together combine the IoTeX, blockchain and with, the Webstream infrastructure, we provide this kind of the end-to-end machine-fi platform to connect the real world into the Web3.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of great messages were sent this week around the failure of centralized institutions, but the success of decentralized protocols that have stood the test of time, right? So similarly to not needing to trust big tech companies to not host our data, and especially the smart home cameras and things like that that are always being hacked. You can trust open source code to power your future devices, and more specifically, the Webstream and IoTeX infrastructures, right? A lot of that also has to do with research, right? And this next question goes to Xin. For those that don't know, Xin is actually the chair of the IEEE P2958 standard. Was founded by Xin, and he's the chair of it. It's really seeking to create what's called identity of things, this decentralized identity and access management framework for devices specifically. And this is kind of layered into the Webstream roadmap, is to apply the research that's being done not only in the IEEE, but other professional and research consortiums, but really taking a really deep level of research and rigor before we apply brand new concepts, right? So long-winded way to say, Xin, Webstream is really at the cutting edge of both blockchain and hardware innovation. We talked about how developers can get started, but what type of research challenges are you working with the research community on? And for those that are watching that are in the research or the academic space, how can they get involved with Webstream?
Yeah, sure. So like Larry already showed before, right? So Webstream is a very complex architecture. because on the one side we need to deal with the device, on the other side we need to deal with the interaction with the blockchain. So which made things is more involved when you consider the entire systems, right? So a number of research challenges, we have been facing during the development and design process. So for example, we need to accommodate the requirement from a wide range of IoT device, right? So those device may be a very smaller device with a very constrained resource and computation capability. Right? So on the other side, we have the IoT gateway, Raspberry Pi, those more powerful IoT device. How can we accommodate the requirements for those wide range of IoT device? How can we bring those devices to the blockchain? Right? So that's itself already a very big challenge. So the second one definitely is the decentralization. Right? So layer 2, eventually we need to enable the community to own this type of network. Once this goes to the decentralized network, how can we address the trade-off between the user experience, latency, and security, right? So overall, we still need to ensure the system is secure, even we have decentralized layer 2 architecture. On the other hand, we need to still provide the good user experience. Right? So those are all kind of research challenges we are facing. Third one, we are dealing with all kinds of IoT devices sending the time series data. Right? So how can we handle those time series data in a proper way? How can we store those data, and how can we keep those data available once it's needed? How to share those data in a decentralized manner? Those are all kind of research questions we need to answer while building WebStream infrastructure. Right? Decentralized self-sovereign identity definitely a key enabler in the entire space, right? So once we go to a decentralized miner, you need to enable your device to form the relationship with other device or other WebStream nodes, right? So your device might join the different decentralized applications. In that case, you basically need to talk with a node running by the community. Self-sovereign identity definitely one key technologies to make that happen. So which will enable your device or WebStream node to form a relationship with other entities in your ecosystem. Privacy is a big concern for many Web3 users. On the device side, it's a similar situation, right? So like wearables or other devices, they collect your personal data. How can you really control those data with minimum information that still enable you to participate different kinds of decentralized application? How can you share your data under your own authorization and control, right? So all of those privacy related issues need to be properly addressed in these projects. So how can we use zero knowledge proof in which situation? Whether it's possible to use computational computing in such setting to enable people have a specialized WebStream node, then you can participate certain use cases or applications. So lastly, token economy is a very key component in all the Web3 space. Right? So which will enable all the participants or stakeholder to join your community or participate to support your DApp in a more transparent or fair manner. Right? So what that token economy really looks like? How can you enable all the stakeholders can benefit from that design? Right? So in a more transparent way and a fair way. Right? So all those were key components or challenges we need to answer along with the project development. So that's why we need to collaborate with the research community to get those questions answered. Right? Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. If any of the items that Xin mentioned around, decentralization, privacy, token economies, and hardware, apply to you, feel free to reach out. We would love to collaborate on research or proof of concept as we extend through our roadmap. So thank you so much, Xin. And finally, Kevin, last question for you. this is something we haven't really touched too much on during this live stream so far. It's the blockchain agnostic design of WebStream. So, we've been beta testing WebStream with a number of projects this year across various verticals. Most of them are going to be building on IoTeX layer 1, but some of them have already started on a Cosmos or a Ethereum and want to use WebStream and bring device data to their dApps. But what's the future for WebStream to support this full decentralized machine economy across all the different blockchains? And why is WebStream a blockchain agnostic product?
Well, that's a good question. I would consider WebStream like a giant network. Each of the device network will be part of it. So different device networks will provide different functionalities and data to the WebStream world. So obviously the developers can use one or maybe many services or functions or types of data from those networks altogether. That would be regardless of the blockchains. Let me make one example. A device registered on IoTeX provides certain data in its WebStream network. The government token may be issued, for example, like Ethereum, and some sort of like a utility token on Polygon or BSC. And maybe its network also provides certain services to all the dev developers, and the service again would be registered on IoTeX, and the dev developers are just feel free to use their services for their users. So I would say it's not only about the blockchain agnostic, but also it would be kind of like Dapps from all type of blockchains, and are all connected by WebStream and IoTeX.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, showing on this graph.
Yeah, absolutely. We think about we think about like the cross-chain and multi-chain future, mostly focus on cryptocurrencies and token bridges today, but the interoperability of data stemming from WebStream going to many blockchains really enables a multi-chain data and multi-chain dApp future where all these dApps can collaborate and build on top of WebStream, right? So yeah, as the tokenomics are going to be somewhat linked to IoTeX through device registrations and node provisioning, the ability to create custom business models using any cryptocurrency as a node operator of WebStream is also very important to provide even more flexibility as we progress through the roadmap. So
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the end of our co-founders panel. Really want to thank Kevin, Jing, and Xin for taking time out of their very busy days to share some insights about WebStream and its importance, and a lot of calls to action for different community members, whether you're a developer, a researcher, or a builder, or a user. Get in touch with us and follow our journey and help to contribute to this very grand vision of ours. So really want to thank everyone for joining today. Yeah, I think just to recap a little bit about what we went over today, just wanted to share, again, some resources for you guys to look into. We have an ideathon that's going to be coming up to really allow everyday people to share their ideas about how WebStream applied to their real world. I think we ran a Pebble Tracker ideathon a couple of years ago and just saw so much of the local perspectives about why Web3 is going to transform the world for the better. And with now more tools and more data and more devices to work with, this ideathon is going to be very fun. So let's definitely all join that. And for those, again, check out webstream.com. For those that are developers, get started at docs.webstream.com. And for those that are want to start coding, check out our GitHub. And for those that just want to follow our progress, check out our Twitter. It's W3bstream_com. So with that, we're going to sign off for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in from all around the world. And stay tuned for a big December full of exciting WebStream announcements. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.